So we have a little bit of a changing of the guard. That's right. Rashad Penny, to many fantasy owners' dismay, especially people in Dynasty that really love those rookies. Rashad Penny, broken fibula. He will miss the entirety of the season, which allows Kenneth Walker to be able to come out. Now, there were people that were very, very high on Kenneth Walker. I wasn't low necessarily, but I wasn't the highest on Kenneth Walker. I don't think he's as powerful as some other running backs, your more traditional back. So I don't think he's the most powerful runner. I think his vision is mediocre. I don't think he has the best vision, but he can make the big play. He can make the explosive play. He can make the highlight play. So I'm really interested to see what happens with him getting more work. Of course, it means my guy back there, DJ Dallas, getting a little bit more work as well in that third down role. I think they'll use him a decent amount. I think Kenneth Walker's gonna get a lion's share of the carries though, and a lion's share of the touches overall. I think he's going to be the guy, and I think for fantasy football purposes, should be pretty solid. We saw Penny inconsistent, right? Inconsistent, not the most consistent player, but I think we'll see some decent consistency out of Walker. I don't think he's Brees Hall level. I had Brees much higher in my rankings. Overall, running backs, I still had them 1 and 2, but I had a lot of receivers in between those two guys. So that's what we're looking at. Walker, definitely, if you were able to pick him up in redraft leagues, obviously you're thrilled. Dynasty leagues, he's not available in any dynasty leagues. There is 0% of dynasty leagues that he was available. We had another big injury, though, to a running back. Excuse me. Getting choked up seeing, actual points and touchdowns stuff in the game. Damian Harris, he's not going to be out as long. This is more of a several week thing, but we're not going to lose him for the season. But this gives another young running back, Ramondre Stevenson, an opportunity to play. Now, the opposite of kind of where I was with Kenneth Walker, I'm very high on Ramondre Stevenson. Very high on Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's a fantastic player. I think in that role there, he's going to do great because he's been getting the receiving work. The only thing he was really missing was more of like the first and second down work, which he was still getting some. He was still getting some carries. He was still getting some drives, but he just wasn't getting a ton of the work there. So I am very, very interested to see what he does. But right now on the week, I think I have him I'll have to go back and check. I think I have him at running back 5 on the week. Yeah, pretty high on Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's a fantastic player, being able to get that receiving work. So go ahead and put in the comments, who do you like more this season, rest of season? Would you rather have Ramondre Stevenson, who might have the higher ceiling now, but we don't know what his workload's going to be like once Damian Harris comes back? Or would you rather have Kenneth Walker rest of season? Oh, speaking of running back, Gibson trying to show that he is not dead and gone. We've seen it be the Brian Robinson show for the most part so far, but Antonio Gibson getting a little bit of run here. Nice little run to the outside there. How many pick up? 15, 20, 25? Yeah, probably about 15 or so. Nice little run there for Gibson. Happy for him. But for fantasy football purposes, he is almost unusable at this point. So, yeah, go ahead and put in the comments which running back you would rather have rest of season. Would you rather have – you know what? I'm going to tweet it out. I'm going to tweet it out right now. This isn't like officially how you should do these things. Probably shouldn't tweet while you're on the show, especially if you don't have a co-host. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. See, I'm on Twitter. I'm not making this up. All right. Who would you rather have? ROS. And we'll see what the poll says. We're discussing this now on BSN. Okay. So we're going to put it in here. Walker Stevenson. All right, there we go. Who would you rather have rest of the season? Kenneth Walker or Mondre Stevenson? You get the ceiling for one guy. You get a little more longevity with the other. Not that there's no ceiling for Walker. You know, I'm making it sound like he doesn't have a ceiling. He does. But I just think Ramondre Stevenson's the better player. Just think he's the better player. So those guys are injured. We also have, you know, while we're on the topic of these running back injuries, James Conner with that rib injury, not looking good for him. Eno Benjamin is the one that we're expecting to kind of get a large share of the workload. Watch out for Keontae Ingram. Nice little running back out of USC. He originally started his career in Texas. Look at Gibson. Gibson like playing with a fire now that B-Rob's back. You'd love to see it. But he started his career at Texas, looked really good as a true freshman, really good. And it was almost like he progressively got worse as his career went on in Texas. Transferred in his final season to USC, played really well. Taken later on in the draft by the Arizona Cardinals. A little bit bigger than Eno Benjamin. He's going to be able to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more bruising than you would get from somebody like Eno Benjamin. So I won the stash. I'm not saying like he's not a priority guy. He's not somebody that I'm like, oh, I got to make sure I leave my waiver wire with Keontae Ingram. But if you have extra room, I'm curious to see how he does this week. Didn't get a crazy high nerd score for me. So I don't think he's the next James Robinson. I don't think he's the next like low round running back that's just going to blow up. But there's enough there that I'm intrigued. James Conner, I don't think anyone expects him long term to really be like the guy. In Arizona, a little bit older in his career, always struggled with injuries. I don't see that personally. So that's something that I think we need to keep an eye on. Other injuries that I want to touch on really quickly before my man Doc gets here. Quarterbacks. Got a couple quarterbacks that have gone down. First we had Tua, then we had Teddy Bridgewater. So now Skylar Thompson is going to be the starting quarterback, it looks like, this week for the Miami Dolphins. And Bailey Zappi for the New England Patriots. Zappi's been interesting. There was a question this week to Bill Belichick that, depending on how Zappi does when Mac Jones comes back, is it for sure his job? And he kind of he didn't fully answer the question. Didn't really give an answer. Zappi's looked pretty good so far. Zappi's looked like a guy that could maybe get the job done. Now, I know it was the Detroit Lions defense, and it's not the greatest defense of all time in any way, shape, or form. But he's gotten some things done. Got to watch out for Skylar. Obviously, it's not. Skylar's not going to be able to do anything with Tua there and Teddy Bridgewater and all that. But just something else to keep your eye. While you're keeping an eye on Keontae Ingram, keep an eye on Bailey Zappi. Could be interesting. Update you on this Bears and Washington Commanders game. 2nd and goal. We're right around, I believe, the 5-yard line right now. Commanders looking to drive, get their first touchdown of the game. So we'll have to see how that goes. Something I didn't mention right before we get my good friend Doc Mitchell on here. He is a Bears fan. Yes, he's a Bears fan. So a little intentionality with who I brought on this week, even though it is his first show. I wanted a Bears perspective on Justin Fields, on David Montgomery, on Cole Kmet. I really want Cole Kmet to be a thing. It's not happening so far, which has been pretty disappointing. But we'll ask Doc about that when he joins us here any minute. 3rd and goal now. Carson Wentz tried to be like Justin Fields there. Didn't quite work out. And it looks like they're probably just going to let the quarter run out. We'll head to the fourth quarter. Yep, we'll head to the fourth quarter. Chicago 7, Washington Commanders 3. Yes, another barn burner, another all-out slugfest. But we've gotten some drives at least. We've gotten some plays. We've gotten some points here in the second half, which we were sorely missing over the course of the first half there. A couple other players we'll talk about while we're waiting for Doc to join us. Brian Robinson. Let's talk about the situation here in the backfield. Brian Robinson, obviously, terrible situation. Absolutely terrible situation. Getting shot multiple times in the knee. His comeback has been absurd. Just absolutely incredible. The fact that he's even out here playing football is some next level stuff. However, Antonio Gibson has been, or at least he's supposed to have been the guy, right? He had third round draft capital, got to play pretty early on, getting the ever coveted Christian McCaffrey comps, and he's been fine. Overall at the end of the season, we're seeing him right around that high end RB2, low end RB1 range, which is really good. But on total points on the season or on a per game basis, not really doing it as much. It's just more the longevity of things. This offseason, we heard about him running with special teams and things like that. So it doesn't surprise us. What am I having here? Looks like my phone was connecting to the Bettor Sports Network. There we go. Okay, well, pretty interesting. We got my own echo going. Let me clear that out. Sorry about that. But Antonio Gibson, he had all the opportunity, and we had that moment in the offseason. Did everybody remember this moment in the offseason where Jerick McKinnon gets signed by, who was it? The Buffalo Bills, right? He goes to the Buffalo Bills, and it looks like, you know what? All is good. All is happy in the world. He has finally gotten the entire job to himself. He's a former wide receiver for gosh sakes, right? He should be able to go out there, do the third down job. So now he's not just the first and second down guy. He's also going to be the third down guy. And there was this 24-hour period of utopia. Now, I don't actually have Antonio Gibson on any team, so I didn't get to experience the utopia, the euphoria that everyone else got to feel. I didn't get that. But I saw others, and they were so excited. And I was happy for them. You have this back that you've invested in, that you're excited about, and his main competition for targets is now gone. That's good news. That's exciting news. Well, he said, just kidding. Jerick McKinnon said, just kidding. Never mind. I don't want to go to Buffalo. I am going back to Washington. I am going to be a Commander. At that point, I don't even know if we knew that they were the Commanders. But I'm going back to the Washington football team. So then, obviously, depression sets in for Antonio Gibson managers. And then right after that, we get, in the NFL draft, Brian Robinson taken in the third round. There were many that said, don't worry about it. Antonio Gibson's still the best back out of this group. But third round draft capital, anytime somebody's going to use day 1 or day 2 draft capital on a running back, they want them to play. They do. They want them to get the ball. They want them to play. So I was terrified all offseason. I didn't have any Antonio Gibson shares to begin with. But even if I had, I would have been trying to panic sell Antonio Gibson. And then we had week 1 come in, and Antonio Gibson gets all these targets. The targets that we always wanted him to get. He had 7 receptions for 70 yards. He had 14 points just in passing work, let alone his running work. By the way, I know we're shocked, but the Commanders stall out inside the 10-yard line there, or right at the 10, it looks like. And, they stalled out, and they're going to be attempting a field goal. I don't even know what Carson Wentz is doing there. Even if he completes that pass, Curtis Samuel was dead to rights there by Roquan Smith. So Joey Sly coming in, big offensive weapon for the Commanders there. Oh, guys, one day we're gonna get a good game. I saw in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we get Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady. That's right, Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady in just 2 weeks. It's something to look forward to. Mark your calendars. It is going to be a fun day, a fun night, a fun show, because we'll actually have some really good football, some really good quarterbacks, some really good scoring to talk about. Gator, what's going on, buddy? He said, oh, it's Thursday Night Football on Amazon. That's right. Thursday Night Football on Amazon. It's brutal. Turn away. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. It's terrifying. You know, it fits, though. Maybe this is all a ploy, guys. Let's think about this. Let's put on our tinfoil hats for a second. It is October. Maybe this is an elaborate horror film plot put on by Amazon, a reality horror film in terms of NFL football. I know it sounds crazy, but that would be one of the, this is Blair Witch Project level stuff. Remember the girl like running and the camera's all close to her face and her nose is running. And yeah, that's how scary these games have been. Maybe it's a ploy. Wentz should have been pulled at halftime. Better Boss saying, yeah, you know what? Sam Howell looked really good in preseason. He did. He looked really good in preseason, played really well. And while we're waiting for Doc Mitchell to join us, let's get Gator. Gator's calling in. And of course, that's everybody's favorite part of their week is when Gator calls in. I know I always look forward to it. I enjoy it.
What is going on, DP?
How you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. Good, brother. It is another Thursday night football game. I also have on it was a Thursday night football game, 70-20, I think it was. But hey, it's college football, which is you and me. This is our love right here. 70-13, UFC to Temple. It's Thursday night football. What do you expect?
Are they wearing? They're wearing the space unis, right?
Yeah, they're wearing all black with with light blue numbers, which actually looks pretty cool for Temple. I mean, it's space 5 is what it looks like.
Well, I think it's UCF wearing those, right?
Oh, is it UCF wearing those? Oh,
I think UCF's wearing those. Yeah, because they have like a big space program and stuff like that. So they were trying to tie in the astronauts to space with the uniforms. That looked pretty slick. I'm not gonna lie.
No, they look cool. I just automatically saw the white, and I was like, okay, that's UCF in the white.
Yeah.
Because I haven't paid attention because it's football and a Thursday night, so you don't pay attention to football on Thursday nights. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right?
Not if you want to watch good football.
No. I want my Amazon money back. Amazon should be going to the NFL, going, "Hey, guy, can I get my refund now?"
Yeah,
because this is week 6. How many touchdowns have been scored on Thursday nights?
Not a lot. Not a lot. That's a great question. You know what, Gator? Let's look and see how many touchdowns have been scored on Thursday nights, because we've had a couple okay games, and some of them I would even label as good games, but none of them have been these high scoring, tons of points. So we've had 1 touchdown this week. We had 0 last week, right? Okay, so then the week before that, we had Dolphins-Bengals. Let's see. We had the Joe Mixon touch. So 1, 2.
Yeah, that game was overshadowed by all kinds of other stuff.
4. Right. So we still only had 4 touchdowns in that game, 27-15. So still not a high scoring affair. Might have been a little different with all the Tua stuff had he not, been concussed. Browns and Steelers, that was one of the more entertaining games. Nick Chubb had a heyday there.
Yes.
But we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had 5 in that game. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Week 2, this was the one that we thought was going to be awesome, right? Chiefs Chargers. We thought week 2 Chiefs Chargers were going to be awesome. It was fine. It was fine. It was 24-27. That was the Justin Herbert game where he was injured and, kind of gutted it out. But it still wasn't the, 42-45 type game that we thought it was going to be, right?
Right.
And then we had the very first game of the season, Bills-Rams. There were some touchdowns, but it was a 31-10 game. The Bills just blew them out. They embarrassed the reigning Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, where Josh Allen didn't even play the fourth quarter. That's how bad that game was. So,
yeah, it was a pretty good game.
So how was your week this week all together? Everything good?
You know what? It's been a good week so far overall for me. My in-laws they just recently built a house about 40 minutes or so away from us, which is nice because they were about 2-ish hours away before that. So it's nice to have them closer. They get to watch the girls, hang out with the girls a little bit more. So that was it was good. I was very sore because I ended up being the one to do most of the lifting, most of the carrying of the boxes and the dressers and all of that kind of stuff. So I was pretty sore come Monday because we did that. I didn't even watch much football Sunday, honestly. Normally, I'm on my couch. I got my red zone. Life's good, but trying to do the right thing, trying to help the family move. But I was definitely sore. From all that moving.
At 40 minutes, they are just far enough away, but still close enough.
Exactly.
2 hours. That's 2 hours is kind of I'm not going this weekend.
Right.
Kind of
right. Yep. 40 minutes. We can make that work. And beautiful place. They're out in like the middle of nowhere. Woods and trees, and it's gorgeous. So I'm happy for them. Very happy for them.
Yes, that's what I love.
What about you? So
I got a quick. Wow, man, it's another week. I normally work Sunday through Thursday.
Okay.
But so Sunday I decided, Friday was my birthday, and I was like,
it was your birthday. Happy birthday, Gator.
I was sick. I was sick on Sunday. Well, at least my boss thinks I was sick on Sunday. That's all that matters. So I got to actually sit down and watch. I watched 4 full football games. Thank God from London. 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8:30. I got to watch 4 full football games and actually see games. I didn't get to watch as much on Saturday as I would normally like to watch. Little adult beverages here and there. I know you don't know anything about that, Garrett, but
I will have an adult beverage from time to time. Not all the time.
But you were 65 before you had your first adult drink. Or close enough. Close
enough. 28. 28.
28, yes. Hey, did you see earlier where Washington used Terry McLaurin in that Debo Curtis Samuel role where the quick, end around? Did you see that? Can they use him like that more often?
It'd be awesome. He's so fast.
Yes.
Once you saw him get north and south, because it took him a while to get there, but once he got north and south, man, he is as quick as
he is like he's like an old car. It takes a minute to get in the first gear. When you're shifting, it takes a minute to get in the first gear. Then you got to fight it to get in the second. But once you get in the second, you can put that son in third and fourth real quick. The clutch doesn't even matter at that point. He is quick when he gets to top speed.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, he ran at the combine. I think he ran like a 4.34 or something like that.
4.34, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's
moving. Now we're in our lane where we're talking about college football, the combine. We don't even care about this NFL stuff.
We don't need this.
Y'all are old we're old. They're old by the time they get to the NFL. 24, 25 years. They're old.
I'll tell you what. When I went to the combine a couple years ago, that was seriously like I was working. Don't get me wrong. I was working. But that was one of the most enjoyable like 3 or 4 days ever. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like
And
I was in my
that was pre-COVID, right? That was pre-COVID, right?
Pre-COVID, just barely.
Yeah.
By like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So
yes,
that was,
but you got to actually get on the field and be out there with the fellas.
well, I didn't do as much of that. I was there more for, I did get to be right there for the bench press. And I got to be in the like media room and doing all the interviews
Right.
and while the guys are on the stage and that kind of stuff. And even like some of the guys I'd get to like talk to on the side. That's when I first talked to DJ, actually, was at the combine there. But
Nice.
then when it came to the actual event, media is not allowed on the field, surprisingly. So like there are certain media members, like you have your ESPNs and your NFL Network, like you have certain people, but the rest of the media is not allowed on the field for the actual combine itself, which was a bummer because I was excited about that part. So I ended up going back to my hotel and watching it like everybody else.
Yeah. So did you have to go and do like the media credentials and all that stuff for the other stuff that you were able to do?
Yeah, I had to get credentialed for all of that, but I didn't have
Okay.
to for. But I wasn't able to get into the actual stadium for
But
the
you
40-yard
but you still had
dash and all
but
that
you
stuff.
still had credentials for all that, so you could have been there for all that with your
No, they wouldn't.
credentials.
They wouldn't let me. Well, I could be in the
Not
stadium,
on the field.
but I couldn't be on the field. Yeah, but it's
Right.
actually more prudent. You get a better seat if you get one of the fan passes than if you get a media pass,
Okay.
which is
Oh, nice
silly.
to know. That's nice to know.
Yeah. Eric, what's
Well,
up,
hey,
buddy? How you doing, man?
giving
Good to have you in here.
you're
Gator,
giving that information that people want. Hey, do you need me to jump off and I'll come back later on?
No, you're good. I think
Okay.
we're still working with Doc trying to get him in. So you're good. You can hang out with me as long as you want, man. Eric
All
asks,
right.
are we all in on the NFC East? How do you feel about this NFC East so far? Obviously, Washington doesn't look amazing, but Cowboys playing well, Eagles only undefeated team left, and the Giants at 4-1. How you feeling about the NFC East?
Man, I honestly, guys, I feel like it's a 2-horse race
Okay.
with the Giants and Philly.
Okay, so you think Dallas, they're posers?
No, I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, Dallas and Philly. But we'll
Okay.
find out this weekend about Dallas, and we'll also find out about Philly this weekend. To be quite honest about it, Dallas. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I mean, in New York, I don't know what's going on in New York. They don't have a quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones is that game manager,
He's
but they
serviceable.
have one hell of a running back. And he's showing up again this year. He's showing up like we thought he should.
Yep.
When he did his rookie year, he's doing great. Man, but that defense in New York they're showing up every week.
Well, I think much of that has to do with getting Matt Rule in there as the head coach. I think he changed the entire.
No, not
culture.
Matt Rule. Not Matt Rule. Matt Rule just got fired.
Oh, did I say Matt Rule? Brian Daboll.
Brian Daboll.
Daboll.
Run Daboll. Run Daboll.
So funny. All right. Well, I'm being told that my screen is frozen. You can hear me, but
yes, you
can't
are.
see me. So we're going to take a break. We're going to try to get all this figured out. Hopefully we can get Matthew in here. But Gator, like always, thanks for hopping in, buddy.
I'll holler back at you later on there, buddy.
Sounds good, man. All right. We'll take a break.
With Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Right now, Ray, it is Cooper Kupp and nothing with this offense.
There goes Kupp. Needs a block. Gets it. 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Cooper Kupp.
And Kupp, to his credit, still gets his. But, Ray, it's almost like this offense is so fixated on Cooper Kupp that nothing else. We can all complain about Stafford and the numbers, Ray, but the dude is getting murdered. Like, there's no way he's making it to week 10 at this pace right now.
Am I a Stafford backer? Yes. Did I think his arm was going to be fine? Yes. Has his arm been fine? Absolutely. His arm's totally fine. The elbow issue that we were all concerned about is not a thing. However, everything else is a massive concern. As much as I have to support Stafford, I have him in a couple leagues. I've supported him when people have asked questions. I'm no longer supporting Stafford. I can't. It has nothing to do with Matt Stafford. He's totally fine. The offense is broken, straight broken. And this offensive line somehow was only 31 out of 32 in pass blocking over at Pro Football Focus. I have no idea how the Titans are worse. They can't even set a pocket. And he's getting hit on every play. There were about 4 times yesterday where it looked like he got knocked out of the game, but he soldiered through it. This offensive line is horrible. The coaching staff and Sean McVay, you guys, you suck. Straight. I mean, you're the Super Bowl champion. This is what you're putting out there. Like, when you're going well, everyone loves you. And we've joked around, if you used a urinal next to Sean McVay once, you have a coaching job in the NFL. Where's Boy Wonder? There's nothing. This offense is horrible.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
Geno Smith is like a savior right now, which
it's a joke.
We would have been laughed at if we said, even in week 2, if we said it. And right now, he's playing great football. And
Ronan, how much of an idiot am I? I mean, all the shows we were on together, I would repeatedly say, I'm not touching Metcalf, I'm not touching Lockett.
Everyone said that. I mean,
Metcalf especially, because for a while he was going in that like mid-4th round. Lockett, at least you could get him at a decent value. What, the 7th, 8th, towards the end of draft season? But I was still like, I don't trust Geno. I'm not going Metcalf. I'm not going Lockett. I said it 1,000 times, and Geno Smith's been turning heads.
I did draft Geno in a super flex best ball league. I think as my 3rd quarterback, but I didn't expect this. I just said, well, he's starting. I thought maybe he might lose the job at some point to Lock, but I'm like, he's starting, so I took him. But this is in for leagues with 6 points for a passing touchdown. Josh Allen is averaging 36.1 points per game. Lamar's at 31.8. Mahomes 28.8. Hurts 27. And then there's a drop off to Goff at 23.8, and that includes. So Geno's at 8th, 23.5. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
All right. We have more points. That's right. There's a little bit more scoring going on in this Thursday night football action. Commanders go up in this game, score a touchdown. Brian Robinson right up the gut. And that's what he's there for. He's that big physical battering ram. That's what they've been looking for. That's what they've been wanting. Last year, Gibson was one of the most inefficient running backs inside of the red zone. That's something they wanted to improve upon. They get a guy like Brian Robinson. He does his job. He gets in there. Sorry, I got a little tickle in my throat here, but thank you so much, Gator, for hopping on. Great talking with you as always. One of the best parts of the show is getting to hear from him. Great dude. He does his own show. I keep forgetting to have him plug a show. Go ahead, Gator. Put in the comment your show, where people can find it, all that kind of stuff. We didn't get a chance to talk about it because my screen froze up. You know how Wi-Fi can go sometimes. Although I have the cord. The cord plugged in. Should be good. Who knows? But we're back on Thursday Night Football. Yes, it's not been the greatest game, but at least it's been close. And maybe we'll see the Bears offense come to life, air it out a little bit more. We'll see the potential of a guy like Justin Fields, which is something that we've been dying to see. One of the things that I was going to talk with the great Doc Mitchell, and if he comes on, we'll talk with him about this as well. But the tight end position this year in fantasy football. Now, I say this year, the tight end position in fantasy football is typically not very good. Some years we get spoiled and we have like 3 or 4 really good tight ends. This year is a pretty slim year. We've got 2. We've got 2 good, consistent tight ends. It's Mark Andrews and it's Travis Kelce. There is nobody else. It's Travis Kelce, it's Mark Andrews. Travis Kelce last week on Monday Night Football. So yeah, I don't get Monday Night Football. I have to do the Thursday Night Football. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. I just wish the NFL would give me better games. But 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Mark Andrews every week getting the targets, getting the yards. And we really thought Kyle Pitts was going to enter that tier. I did. I'll be the first to admit. I was talking about in dynasty leagues. And this is not my finest moment, clearly, with how he's playing so far this year. Maybe he'll turn it around. But I had Kyle Pitts in a dynasty startup, 1 QB, super flex. I'm always going with quarterback. But I was making the argument in the offseason that he might be the most valuable player in a 1 QB dynasty startup. My reasoning felt solid at the time. Look at the position scarcity, right? I just mentioned it. Travis Kelce, although it's seeming like he's turning into the Tom Brady of tight ends, he's an older tight end. He's been playing for a long time. He's 33 years old. Mark Andrews in his prime right now. But then guys that we used to have close to that tier, not in the same tiers as Kelce, but around that tier. Zach Ertz used to be around there. Darren Waller used to be around there. Up until recently, George Kittle was there. None of those guys are consistent. Consistently putting up those big numbers, I should say. Darren Waller, we've been seeing a lot of injuries from. George Kittle, we've been seeing a lot of injuries from. So Kyle Pitts was our next great hope. And he's being used to block. That's not his skill set, right? That's not his skill set at all. He's basically a wide receiver. He runs like a wide receiver. He's built like a wide receiver. They brought him in with the number 4 overall pick to catch passes. And Marcus Mariota, over the past 3 or 4 weeks, has really kind of done similarly to what we were seeing with Justin Fields, to where they're basically just running the football like crazy. And they've actually been fairly successful with it, but they're just not passing the ball a ton. And Marcus Mariota is an agile quarterback that can run around, make some things happen, get some first downs with his legs, things like that. He's a fine player. Folks, here we go. The one, the only, Doc Mitchell joining us now, getting to discuss the last 5 minutes of this Chicago Bears game. Doc, how you doing, buddy?
If I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. That's not good. Can you read my lips?
Hold on.
I wasn't actually doing anything. That helps.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Something's up here. I don't know why I can't hear you.
All right. I'm going to kick you real quick. We'll try to get you back in a second. All right. We'll get them in, guys. Look, this is all a ploy. We're just building anticipation for when Doc Mitchell gets to enter and gets to talk about his beloved Bears on Thursday Night Football. 4 minutes to go. Bears right around midfield, down 5, touchdown, which we haven't seen a ton of, to be fair. But a touchdown here would give them the lead. Field goal would do them no good. Ball at their own about 48.5-yard line. 2nd and 8. We see a nice looking run there from David Montgomery. Picks up a first down. First down, Chicago Bears. Well, I'm going to keep an eye on the game. We'll talk about it as it goes, because I do want to hear about these Bears. I want to hear Doc Mitchell's thoughts on these guys. But Kyle Pitts, going back to the tight end position. I thought with the position scarcity and his ability to be able to put up high points, which we saw, he got the targets last year. He just didn't get the touchdowns. Put up over 1,000 yards as a rookie. That does not happen. Put up over 1,000 yards as a rookie. Looked fantastic. Just didn't work out. Just didn't work out for whatever reason. So we'll see what happens. But speaking of working out, I think we're getting Doc Mitchell back up on the Bettor Sports Network. Doc, can you hear me?
Still no volume.
Still no volume. Bummer. All right. Well, if it doesn't work out, we'll get him on again some other time. Unfortunately, then the Bears won't be playing, so we won't get to talk about his beloved Chicago Bears and how they're performing. And who knows, we might see a great fourth quarter comeback and victory here, and we could have celebrated it with him. It's all right. It's all good. We'll get him back on here in the near future. All right, going back to Kyle Pitts. So then you factor in the age. When we're talking dynasty, these guys live on your team for 5, 10, 15 years. However long you want to have them, they're on your team. So when you look at somebody that's as young as Kyle Pitts, only in his second season, that has already shown that he can be productive at the NFL level. He can catch the ball. He can put up yards. He has the draft capital to go along with it. There's only a few players that would be in that same kind of tier, regardless of position. And preseason, now that's changed since the season's gone on, but preseason, that would be Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Kyle Pitts. There's really nobody else that I would say is or coming into the year was elite at their position and was under the age of 24, 25. There's just not many of those players. So you could have taken any of those guys with one of your top 4 picks in a 1 QB league, and I think that would have been fine. I think that would have been a worthwhile selection. But there was a strong case to be made that with the scarcity and the drop off at tight end, because long term, who's behind him and Andrews? Freiermuth? We thought maybe Kmet, but that hasn't looked very good. Maybe Njoku, but we haven't seen that long term yet. We've seen a little bit of a breakout this year. And part of that was tied into Deshaun Watson, which looks like there is another case against Deshaun Watson. Bears, by the way, just turned it over on 4th down there. 2:28 to go. They still have all their timeouts, so they could have an opportunity. Oh, and that's a guy I like too. Amir Smith-Marset just dropped it. Absolutely brutal. But behind Pitts, it was Pitts and Mark Andrews, big drop off. When you look at the running back position, Jonathan Taylor, but there's a lot of young running backs coming into the season. We thought Najee Harris. Actually, I didn't. I've never liked Najee Harris that much. I've talked about that on the show. I've talked about a ton on Dynasty Nerds. I'm not going to rehash it. Maybe I will later. We'll see. But Javonte Williams, you had, Travis Etienne, people really liked. Breece Hall this year, who is absolutely soaring up rankings, just soaring up rankings. So you had some other guys that you could foresee filling that gap, right? Receiver, guys like CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins. There's a lot of young receivers, and even guys in this class, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave. Like, there is a lot of young receivers that you could see filling in behind those top 2 guys, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. It's not really that way at tight end. Oh, and 1 QB, you're never taking a quarterback that high, so it's just not even worth discussing, not even worth talking about. But it's kind of where we were at. I really thought that he was a good, worthwhile investment. And he just wasn't. He just really wasn't. Or he hasn't been. I shouldn't say he wasn't, right? Lots can still happen. Lots can still happen. He's played 4 games. He was injured the 1 week. Lots can still happen. He can still end up being that guy. But so far, it's looked pretty bad. It has. So maybe we'll ask, we'll talk to our guy, Edward, who's going to be on here in about 10 minutes. We'll talk to him about these tight ends. his thoughts on the younger tight ends, Kyle Pitts, if maybe he would even consider buying low on Kyle Pitts. Maybe. All right. So heading back into the Thursday night football game, the Commanders have the ball, 2:28 to go. They are going to do their best to run the clock out. Oh, and Brian Robinson with a nice run. Keeps going. 15-yard gain on first down. That is not what you want to see if you're the Chicago Bears. Fortunately for them, though, they do have the 2-minute warning, an extra timeout there, basically. All right. Let's discuss, I bring it up often because it's intriguing to me. But these rookie receivers, really good class. And we've had several good classes in a row, right? We've had the class that we're seeing a guy like Terry McLaurin, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf. That class was awesome. Very, very good class. Then the following year, we had Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins. Another just fantastic class. And yes, there were some misses in there. There's some Henry Ruggs and some Jalen Ragers and guys like that. So there are misses in there. But overall, they've been really good classes. And I forgot to mention with that first class, Hollywood Brown. He's played fantastic this season. Might talk about him a little bit more as the show goes on too, because I'm intrigued about him with Nuke returning. So then we have last year's class. We have Jamar Chase. We have Devonta Smith. It's another really good, really fantastic looking class. We have this year with Drake London and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. So we've just seen the steady stream of quality receiver class, all in a row. This year, it's probably not going to be as good as some of the ones we've seen recently, but there's still some really good players at the wide receiver position. And it's changing how, I believe, it's changing how we should view dynasty fantasy football. Because anytime that there is a surplus of players at a position, and it's looking like, the rookie class or the class after it, the next two classes in college will still be solid classes as well. And we might even have a couple like big time players. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I know, hasn't had as monster of a season as he had in his sophomore campaign, where he outproduced Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, two of the receivers we constantly are talking about. He outproduced both of those guys last year at Ohio State. So very, very good player. But anytime that we have a surplus of young talent like that, it changes the valuations of the other positions. And so for a long time, I was preaching, get the quarterback or get the receivers in dynasty, quarterbacks as well, obviously. And I don't think that's changed at all. If anything, they're becoming a little more scarce. Past couple classes have not really helped as much as we thought they would. But wide receiver has just become so bountiful, so plentiful, that yes, you might not be getting the longevity out of the class if you're going for the running back position that you would if you're going for the wide receiver position. But you're going to be able to still get good players later on in the drafts that are still going to be not that much different than the wide receiver ones, right? The gap between wide receiver 5, 6, 7, quality-wise for dynasty purposes, not yearly, that because that's a different conversation. That's guys like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill and players that are a little bit older. But for dynasty, the quality of wide receiver 5, 6, 7 is not drastically different than 17, 18, 19. It's just not. So if you can capitalize, and we've kind of come full circle where fantasy football, it didn't matter if it was dynasty, redraft, or whatever, you took your running backs. Well, we started to see a shift into that receiver pool, taking a bunch of receivers. And I think it's come back now. It's starting to swing the other way where The value has once again become the running backs. Eric Kempton saying, dynasty running backs seem to be a disaster. Injuries and dual backs are the new norm. Yeah, there is some truth to that. There have been some tough injuries to deal with this season. Not going to deny that at all. But where long term is there going to be the difference making, right? Because the difference making isn't going to be at the receiver position anymore unless you have Justin Jefferson. I'm not even sure I can say Jamar Chase anymore because I'm not even 100% sure he's their wide receiver one. I get it. That sounds like heresy. It does. We talked about it a couple weeks ago on the Dynasty Nerd podcast. T. Higgins has been producing very similar numbers to Jamar Chase. And we're seeing with him out, Jamar Chase hasn't been nearly as good without T. Higgins. So I'm not confident stat-wise that he is significantly better than T. Higgins. But when we get these running backs healthy, yes, there will still be more committees than we like. Yes, there will still be more sharing of backfields. There will still be injuries. But when you find those 3, 4, 5 guys that are getting the workload, look at Saquon Barkley this year. He's getting the workload. He is making a huge difference for his fantasy teams because the production that most people are getting out of their running back position this year is poor. It's poor. We're gonna give one last try, and if this works, Edward, we're gonna push you back a little bit if we can get my guy Doc Mitchell in. We'll try to get you both in. Oh, he's gone now. We'll have to see. Doc, if we can fit you in, awesome. If not, no worries, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the missed field goal here by the Washington Commanders. That's right, leaving the Bears in it. We'll get you on another show. But the difference that Saquon Barkley is making for his fantasy teams. Last year and the year before that, the difference that Christian McCaffrey, who was getting the workload, that Jonathan Taylor, who was getting the workload, who Derrick Henry, who is getting the workload. There's not many of those players. But the 4 or 5 guys per season that are getting that 15 to 18 rush attempts and then another 5, 6, 7, 8 receiving targets, those guys are going to be worth their weight in gold. So I know he's not getting it now, but Breece Hall is worth his weight. Like, he's going to be crazy, crazy valuable. Bijan Robinson next year. We don't know where he's going to land. We don't know how they're going to use him. But a player like that could end up being crazy, crazy valuable because of the difference that we'll get there. Eric Kempton says, agree, top running backs that are young getting the workload are diamonds in the rough. Weather is going to turn and running backs will get more workload as the season goes on. That's true. Speaking of getting a workload, we see David Montgomery, who's had to share the workload with Khalil Herbert today. We see these Bears driving. Minutes ago, Justin Fields scrambling. Oh, wow. Just making people miss Justin Fields. Down to the 5. My goodness, that run. Oh, man. He looked dead to rights. He looked absolutely dead to rights. He had the safety spying him, and he got him to over pursue, and he was gone. Wow, what a play. That was incredible. It's not very often that you have those plays where your jaw drops a little bit, but wow. What a run, what a play by Justin Fields. Did he almost do it too quickly? There's still 52 seconds left. Knowing the Bears offense tonight, though, it will probably take all 52 of those seconds for them to score. But maybe not. Maybe I'm being a pessimist. Maybe they will score on the very first play. Hopefully it's a touchdown pass to my boy Cole Kmet. That's what I'm hoping for. Oh, quick snap. And here we go. Edward, what's up, my man?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine. What do you think of this Thursday night action here?
Well, we have less points than last week so far.
That is accurate.
There's that. And I'm sorry a little late. My daughter had a little mental breakdown right before. Of course, I'm supposed to go on, but you're a girl dad. You understand that.
Oh, I 100%. Like right before I'm coming on, my daughter comes out because we watched Nightmare Before Christmas. The girls really wanted to watch that.
Yeah.
And
yes.
but now she's like, Dad, I'm kind of scared now. And I was like, look, your mom's not home yet, and I gotta get on this show. We'll snuggle later. Like you gotta go to bed though.
They're gonna need it after the ending of that movie too, right?
That's right.
The Boogeyman.
Right. The
Oogie Boogie. Well, can the Bears do it here? No, I mean,
I'm rooting for them to do it. Let's put it that way.
It'd be fun, wouldn't it? 3-3 somehow. What?
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't feels right.
It doesn't feels right. But look, I like Justin Fields. I'm a little biased because I am an Ohio State guy. So I like Justin Fields. I'm rooting. Cole Kmet, I have an absorbent amount of Cole Kmet shares across my fantasy football teams. So I want this offense to figure it out. I want this offense to get it going. So here we go. 3rd and goal.
It's 5 weeks in, man. I don't know.
No, it doesn't look great so far. Does not look great so far.
I know. I was a huge Mooney believer too. Oh, that's pass interference. That has to be pass interference. And he is down hurt. Who is that? Is that Pettis? Pettis.
Looks like the defensive guy's hurt too.
Did anyone have Pettis' first touchdown of this game?
He had the first touchdown of the season, didn't he? And that nasty rain game with the 49ers.
By the way, that was not a touchdown. I think they called it a touchdown because they're like, screw it.
We'll review it.
Yeah, because he bobbled that with his first foot was down, and then I don't know. There's a lot of people on Twitter saying it wasn't either, and I'm like, I was watching that with my father-in-law, and I'm going, that's not a touchdown. They're just at this point saying, screw it, touchdown.
Touchdown. Sounds good. Oh man. Well, while we wait to get this cleaned up, I have a few things that I wanted to discuss with you tonight.
Oh no, are you going to put me on the interrogation bench?
No.
Okay.
I can't deal with that kind of heat. You know,
okay. Only on Mondays.
way too hot. No, but I was talking, and I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to talk to Doc, but looks like we won't get to talk a chance to talk to Doc tonight. But about Kyle Pitts and this tight end position as a whole for fantasy football. If you have Kyle Pitts, and we could take a break, once the final play probably of the game happens. But if you have Kyle Pitts, what are you doing with Kyle Pitts?
Well, I have Kyle Pitts in the league, and I drafted him. I went all running back and actually drafted him as like my top. I went a 0 receiver type of.
Oh, he caught that.
That's Mooney.
Is that a touchdown?
No, he's short.
I mean, it's 4th down. They're running to try to spot it.
He's short.
I think he got it over.
Bears fashion.
I think he got that ball across the plane.
They'll review this one. I'll guarantee
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to see this. They're saying first down commander.
Fields doesn't look happy.
He doesn't, but I think the ball crossed the
plane. That's a touchdown, my friend.
If he had possession.
He did it right there. He
didn't.
It. Nope. No touchdown.
Once he caught. Oh no.
Oh.
He had it.
Right there, if he just grabs it with his mitts, it's a touchdown. And then he bobbles it, and
he ends up coming down with it. Although he was out before he was out before he even had possession.
That's game over.
Poor Bears.
Yeah, right.
Poor Bears.
We're also Browns and Charger fans, so
well, that's fair. All right, you guys know what it's like. All right, so this game's over, 12-7. Another exciting Thursday night game. At least we didn't have to go to overtime.
Yeah, but it is still less points than last week. I'm going to mention that again.
Last week. It's so sad. Although
Wait,
they're at the
it's not
one.
over yet. Yeah, they actually have to get the ball over the line.
I think
I
he
think he
got
got
it
it.
back to the spot,
I think
which
they're
is
gonna
all they
call it
needed to
back.
do because they were out of
Yeah.
timeouts.
Wow, that a safety there that would have been fun, but yeah,
That
we're
would
not
have
gonna
been
get that tonight.
hilarious.
Yeah,
That would have been
poor
absolutely
Fields.
hilarious. All right. Well, that's the end of that game. Let's go back to Kyle Pitts.
All right.
Kyle Pitts, exciting young tight end.
Yeah.
You said you have him some places. Now, the places that you have him, Dynasty, Redraft, where do you have him?
I have him in a redraft league, and I was high on him, like I was saying before this exciting finish of this Thursday night game. I picked him up as my first so I went all running back because everyone was drafting all the receivers. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go all running back here and just snag all the good. So I had like Dalvin Cook, Swift, Miles Sanders. I have a ton of running backs, sadly. But my receivers are like Amari Cooper.
Sure. Who's been decent.
Yeah. Playable. And I have Gallup coming back, but I picked Pitts up as like my fifth round as like pretty much my top receiver.
Okay.
So last week I had to pick up Irv Smith and play him in my receiving my tight end one position. Right. And now this week I'm going, do I play Irv Smith again? That's how sad it is. It's bad. And, even in college, Marcus Mariota, who's my boy, I got his autographed helmet right behind me right here.
There you go.
Represent Oregon. Threw tight ends a lot. And even in Tennessee, he threw to tight ends a lot. And it's like, I don't understand why he's not throwing to Kyle Pitts. I know Drake had a few good games at the beginning of the year too, right? But he's kind of leveled off too. It's like, so you lose Cordell Patterson and you have Algier and you're like, not going to throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. Well, I understand he was out last week. But I don't know what to do with him, man.
But some of it is they're just not throwing it much. I mean, they're just not throwing the ball much, period. It's not Chicago Bears level bad, but it's not far off to where they aired it out a bunch early, but now they're just not.
And it's not like they have the greatest offensive line and the greatest running backs either. They don't have Dalvin Cook back there. They don't what? Why let Marcus Mariota just sling it? Like, why not? What do you have to lose? Like
nothing.
I don't get it. I just do not get it at all.
And the hard part is, much as I genuinely like this player for dynasty purposes, I think he could end up being a good player, not a great player, but I think he could end up being a good player. Desmond Ridder, if he does come in, is not going to help Kyle Pitts.
Are you really high on him? Because I'm not.
I like him from a NFL perspective. I think he's a good athlete. I think he's a smart kid. I think he's a winner. He took that Cincinnati program and he put them on the map.
Like, he had some talent there too.
He did. And honestly, his mechanics are not bad, but sometimes you see he's laser accurate. And then other times he's all over the place. So that's the only thing I can't figure out with him is where is these inaccuracies coming from? Like
it's like every quarterback in this draft, though, right? Malik
100%
Willis and Kenny Pickett, they're all the same. Like I feel like they're all the same. Well, Malik has the running ability, right? We all know that.
Sure, and Ridder does as well.
Yeah, he does, and in a sense, so does Pickett. So it's kind of like
not to their level, but yeah.
So it's like it was a weird year for quarterbacks in the draft. I just didn't. I wasn't a fan.
By
of
weird, do you mean bad?
Bad, yeah. Yeah. And I even won a bet because my friend is like, he's like, quarterbacks win. You have to have a good quarterback. I don't care who it is. A quarterback's going first overall in this draft. And I said, I will bet you a bottle of your favorite whiskey.
Ooh.
That there is not a quarterback drafted first overall. Well, guess who's been sipping on whiskey for the last 5 weeks?
There you go.
Here. So
that
there
guy.
You go. Yeah. Because I was like, these quarterbacks aren't the same as they have been. There's no Joe Burrows, Herberts. I guess you could throw Tua in there if you want, but it's just, but next year though, we go back to the norm, right?
Right.
It's going to be quarterback 1-2 no matter what. Like, let's throw that off.
Absolutely.
Right on the table.
If I had to place a bet today, I would assume that the first two players taken are both quarterbacks.
And we could say their names too, Stroud and Bryce
Young. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot would have to change. One of them would have to, fingers crossed that this does not happen, but one of them would have to get seriously injured or just have a ridiculously unfortunate downfall the second half of this college football season. But
That's
I just don't see that happening. Both have proven over, a year and a half now that they're both upper echelon guys. They were both highly recruited players. Like, there's just a lot going for them. They're at good, solid programs. They're going to end up being 1-2.
Yeah, and we talked about this on Monday too. You said with the Steelers, and I'll say the Falcons are in the same boat.
100%.
I don't know about the Titans. I think they're going to make the playoffs. They'll be fine. They'll probably win that division. Malik Willis will be their future. But even the Falcons, the same thing. If they end up getting the 1 or 2, they're taking Stroud or Bryce Young to replace Ritter.
Absolutely.
Just
Which is a bummer for Ritter.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but that's the truth. It's just a better class of quarterbacks. And you can't say no when you have the opportunity to change your franchise that quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, going back real quick to the tight end position. Actually, the producer real quick said, what about the Bears? Think they go quarterback if they get the first or second overall pick?
They kind of have to at this point, right? Fields doesn't look. He looks like a college quarterback trying to play in the NFL, like what Johnny Manziel did, it's just he looks like, just watching him play, he doesn't look like he's an NFL quarterback, and at this point we've seen enough of him to say it's probably true.
Yeah, it's tough because he's gotten a bit of a raw deal with two different offenses, two different offensive coordinators. Not a good offensive line, not much as far as like receiving weapons go. But all of that being said, I don't fully disagree with you. You can tell that once he sees his first read is covered up, he's taking off and running.
Yeah, exactly.
And, he hangs out in the pocket for a little while to kind of pretend like he's trying to go through his reads more, but he's not. Like, he's the first one's covered. He's probably ducking and going, which is a bummer. I still think that he could get it figured out. So I am still on board the Justin Fields train. But if you're at 1 or 2, I would not blame the Bears at all if they decided to say, we tried, didn't work. Let's go with another guy.
How funny would it be if they got Stroud in the draft to replace Justin Fields?
I know. That would be like just putting salt on a wound.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Imagine if Ohio State wins the national championship too with Stroud this year.
Oh, and then Justin Fields came up just short.
Replace Justin Fields. Oh man.
It was like you were almost as good as this guy. Almost as good.
Okay.
Going back to the tight end position. All right. I want you to rank these tight ends for Dynasty. Okay.
Okay.
For Dynasty. There's a group of 6 guys. Okay.
Oof. Are there 6 tight ends that are valuable?
These are all like fringe, like, do I like this guy or do I not?
Okay.
All right. Tyler Higbee.
Ooh, okay.
David Njoku. Hayden Hurst. Darren Waller.
Ooh. Pat
Freiermuth. And Dalton Schultz.
Wow, that's a interesting list.
6 guys there, all at different points of their career.
For Dynasty, right? Not for this year.
This is for Dynasty, not for redraft. You're more welcome to rank it for redraft. But how or even if you don't want to rank all 6, what do any of those guys stand out to you as guys that you're wanting to own? Because these guys are all in this tight end 8 to 15 range, this kind of dead zone of the tight end position. Are there any for Dynasty that you're like, I do want to invest in this player?
Before I'm going to say one thing. I'm in a league right now where I have injury problems and bye problems, and I have Darren Waller, who's on a bye. And no backup tight end because he was my T1, and I'm contemplating, it's a 10-person league. I'm contemplating dropping him for a fill-in this week and just letting someone else deal with him. That's something.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Because we thought of him as a top 5 guy. Gator even saying, are there more than 2 or 3 that are worth anything other than streaming options? And in redraft, you can't really stream in the same way. But you're right, Gator. Like, is the tight end 4 worth that much more than the tight end 17? And I don't know that it is.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My favorite of all those is Schultz. We have to see what happens when Dak comes back. Although last year he did a nice job without him for a period of time too. But I like Higbee the most out of that entire group that you just said.
Okay.
To be honest, I really do. He's going to get the targets, the receptions. He's been consistent all year. I hate that AR word, Allen Robinson, but Higbee is the second receiver on that team. I'm sorry, but he is, and you still have Matthew Stafford back there. Whatever's going on with his Tommy John elbow, Higbee is my favorite of that group over Waller, because I'm a little nervous there. And Hayden Hurst, I'm just like, what? We've been down that road before with Hayden Hurst, right?
It's true.
At Baltimore, and
it's true.
He's still kind of young though, right? He's like his mid-20s.
He same age as Mark Andrews. They were in the same class.
So I kind of do like him probably in Dynasty as my second, but I'm still Higbee's my top. At least you're going to win with Higbee as a TE1 for the next year or 2, 3. I like Hayden Hurst after that. Schultz, I still want to see what happens when Dak comes back. But then you got Michael Gallup, and then their run first team. That kind of scares me there too. Do I want to say a double-headed monster? It's Pullard and then Elliott coming in every once in a while.
Right.
But and then Waller's the scariest one of the.
You're out.
Who was the last one? I'm sorry.
All right, so there's two other guys, and they're the younger ones of the group. Pat Freiermuth and David Njoku.
Oh yeah, Njoku injury problems scare me. First off, and he's doing a great job. But remember, it's Brissett right now.
It is. And
Brissett, when he was the Colts starting quarterback, also did the same thing with the tight ends as well.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens after he's done, and Deshaun Watson comes in, and what happens there, because he's going to open up Peoples-Jones. He's going to open up Amari as well. So
we'll see if he even gets to. There were new allegations that dropped tonight.
No way.
Yeah. New allegations dropped tonight. So yeah, they apparently he pressured, and it's not even being represented by the same lawyer. So it's like completely different. And apparently he pressured one of the massage therapists into giving him oral sex. And
man.
Good
thing you have the late night show, man.
Jeez. Does not look good.
Yeah,
does not look good.
They're gonna keep on pressing on him, I guess. But I don't know. Like, okay, even so, if Brissett is the quarterback the rest of the year, then Njoku's going to have, no matter what, a solid season. But then what happens next year? Is Brissett? Let's say Watson, this whole thing happens and Watson's out, because you never know. He could be just done with football forever.
It's a possibility.
So if that happens and Brissett comes back, then Njoku in Dynasty is higher than, I would say, Hayden Hurst.
Okay.
Or higher than do I want to say Waller? Waller's older though.
Waller is older. Yep.
Yeah, that one hurts my heart a little bit, but it's because I have Waller at 2 leagues, and I'm just like, man, but he just doesn't have the step he had. I don't know what's going on with him, but he hasn't looked great.
And he's been banged up consistently.
Yeah,
and you have Devontae Adams there now as that big body,
and Renfro, and Mac Hollins is now a thing there as well.
Which is crazy.
The team is constantly playing from behind.
Yeah,
even if they get a lead, somehow in the fourth quarter they're playing from behind. That's just the way it's been. So I would kind of say Higbee. So where we at now? Higbee. I like Njoku if Brissett's the quarterback there long term.
Okay.
And then Hurst,
Waller.
Schultz, Waller, and who's the last one?
Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, I'm off of Pat Freiermuth completely with Pickett at the quarterback.
Really, you're all out.
Yeah. There's leagues. I have Pat Freiermuth in one league. I picked up Everett from the Chargers. I've been starting him over him for the last 3 weeks. With Keenan Allen out, it makes a lot of sense too. But
absolutely,
Pickett's gonna run the ball. He's gonna throw the ball to Pickens. He's not even in college at Pitt. He wasn't a tight end.
He was not.
So yeah, Freiermuth, you could probably almost wait till a bye and drop him for someone else and hope that, but
in redraft.
Yeah. Freiermuth is a touchdown dependent only tight end going forward, probably for the rest of his career, aka Mo Ali Cox.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So the other thing that I wanted to do with you is I am going to give you 2 players.
Oh man.
And all you have to do is tell me do you feel more comfortable doing redraft or dynasty? Which one would you prefer?
I'm in both, so whichever one. I mean, this is the dynasty nerd.
We'll do dynasty then.
So
absolutely. Okay. All right. You tell me which one you would rather have on your dynasty team. Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Would you rather have Jalen Waddle or Deebo Samuel?
Deebo.
Why?
Waddle is going to always
he's got
it
Tyreek.
Depends. Yeah, with the dynasty league you're into, it depends on like what your status is as a team, right? Are you rebuilding? Right. Are you in it this year? Are you going to be a contender? So I'm going to go at this as a middle of the road. Like I have older players, I have younger players. I'm rebuilding, but I've made the playoffs kind of like at that 8 to 6 seed, every year type of thing. I'd rather have Deebo because Deebo's the man there.
He is.
He's the man, and we've seen the Ayuk thing. He's not consistent. He was his rookie year when Deebo was hurt, right?
Mm-hmm. But
Deebo's going to get the catches. Kittle's looks like he's kind of going over the hill a little bit. He's going to get the catches. He's going to get the targets. He's going to get the runs, especially since they can't keep a running back healthy there in San Francisco. And Waddle, you're dealing with Tyreek, who let's be real, he could be the new Antonio Brown the way he acts off the field and the things he says. He's a little, sometimes I just want to reach to his head and just like let some air out a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'd rather have the number one guy on a good team, which is the 49ers, who I think will win the NFC this year.
Ooh, okay.
And are going to be a good team for a while with that defense, with the offense. They have everything going, and Jimmy G is better than Trey Lance. I will say that time and time again.
I'm with you. We were on it all off season. 100% with you. Okay, next one here. Would you rather have CeeDee Lamb or Michael Pittman Jr.?
Oh, in a dynasty or redraft?
Dynasty league.
CD? Yeah.
Why?
Because there's so much uncertainty with the Colts. Matt Ryan, is he going to retire? He hasn't looked that great. Who's going to be the quarterback? Especially because they're going to be in the mediocre, so they'll like trade up for a good quarterback. Or what are they going to do next year? Trade for another? Who are they going to trade for next year? Another old quarterback?
Probably.
Maybe Marcus Mariota will be on the Colts next year. I don't know. We'll see. But there's no longevity there. CeeDee Lamb is going to have Dak Prescott, and we're seeing right now that Cooper Rush is capable of feeding him the ball as well.
It's true,
so
but
it's
still not to the level that we
Lamb.
wanted. But still not to the level
more than Michael Pittman's getting fed with no uncertainty after this year of who's going to be the quarterback on that team. And Jonathan Taylor's there, and Young.
Sure.
CeeDee Lamb all day.
CeeDee Lamb all day. All right, there we go. All right, would you rather have Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave?
Ooh, that is a great question. And both has shown highs and lows already this season as well.
Right.
And they both have uncertainty at quarterback.
They do.
So that makes this decision a little bit harder for me.
All right.
I do like Garrett Wilson's talent. I think he was probably maybe Jameson Williams. Well, Jameson Williams, I don't know, but I think Garrett Wilson was the most talented receiver in this draft.
I would agree.
Yeah. So he has the talent, and Zach Wilson, we're still kind of unsure there. And Elijah Moore has been like nothing now, right? Like what happened?
Very
to him?
Surprising. Yeah, he's not done anything.
But Zach Wilson loves himself with Corey Davis, doesn't he? Oh my God. So I don't know. Garrett Wilson is the more talented, but I say offensively, why? Like, I think Olave has the better career and the more opportunities.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Especially when Michael Thomas can't stay healthy for more than a week. So
that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Would you rather have Breece Hall or DeAndre Swift?
Well, until Breece Hall starts showing injury problems, I'd rather have him right now in Dynasty for sure. He's younger. He looks like he's going to take control of that backfield for the first time since Curtis Martin in New York.
You remember the Sean Green era?
Oh God, and Bilal Powell. And then Swift, though, you still have Williams there. Williams is actually younger than you think he is. He's going to be a thing for a few more years, and Swift just can't stay healthy. And I think Breece Hall is going to be a force to be reckoned with until he turns 29, like every running back, and then
Right.
yeah,
Not
Hall.
a little bit.
Hall, yeah.
All right.
In the long term.
Long term. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Who would you rather have? Najee Harris, who's everybody's down on right now, or Javonte Williams, who's not playing right now?
That's a tough one. If it was Ben Roethlisberger, I would say Najee Harris, 10 out of 10. But it was Trubisky, and now it's Pickett. And Pickett's they're gonna be playing from behind a lot for a while. I did my case of the Mondays. I talked to Steelers fans. This is the first time they'll have a losing season since like in 18 years.
It's ridiculous. As a Browns fan, I'm unfortunately incredibly aware of that.
Yeah. Damn, I have to say no to Najee Harris on that one.
Javonte's my boy. So
I mean, I know it's a bad injury. He tore like
tough.
every ligament in his knee. Like there isn't a ligament
similar to
left
Dobbins in that sense.
in his knee. Yeah. But I mean, Melvin Gordon is not going to make it another year, and he's going to come back and they're going to feed him. And he's so talented, though. He's such a good running back. I don't know why they didn't feed him more last year. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd say dynasty. Hold on to Williams, Najee Harris for the next couple years, whatever. He'll probably fade out into the sunset, I guess. It's just sad.
It is sad. Well, thank you so much.
I did it.
You did it. You nailed it. Five questions. You got them all.
What did I do?
You did fantastic.
Did you agree on almost all of them, or half of them, or
I agreed on most of them. Okay. The only ones that I did not agree on were I would actually take Pittman over CeeDee Lamb.
No,
I would.
Really?
Would. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big
you
believer in Michael Pittman Jr. He has locked down, solidified that wide receiver one role. CeeDee Lamb has never established himself as the guy. Even though Amari Cooper's gone, there's nobody else there. He still has yet to take hold of that role. He was getting out targeted by Noah Brown to start the year. Like it was ridiculous. So I just think I don't trust CeeDee Lamb. I like Dak Prescott. I like that offense, but I just don't think he's ever going to be that guy. If we can get Michael Pittman Jr. a quarterback, even if we don't, he's still
That's the problem.
He's still proven that he can be a mid to high range wide receiver.
Alec Pierce out targeted him and out caught him last week.
He did last week. That is true. That was his first one, but that game I'm throwing everything out. Like anything that I'm trying to erase it from my memory. The other one is I would take Garrett Wilson over Olave.
Ooh, see, that one was close to me. Like it could go either way. I just think Olave is going to have, in the long run, the more targets and the more opportunity. But I agree, Garrett Wilson is the most talented receiver to come.
Right, and that's really what it came down to for me. When they're this young and the offenses are both still so up in the air, I'm gonna take the one that at least has the chance of being established. Like I think we all pretty well know Jameis Winston isn't the long-term option. Zach Wilson could be. I don't know that he is, but he could be at least.
Remember last year we said Daniel Jones could be.
Well, and we're still saying it. I think we've said that every year with Daniel Jones.
Every year, yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
man.
Remind everyone what you do for Bettor Sports Network, what you do in general, where they can find you on the socials and all that good stuff.
I love sports. That's what I do. No, I'm on Monday nights on the Bettor Sports Network on Monday Night Rants. The book ends here, Monday night to Thursday night. I sweat out the final end of the game like you do here on Thursdays, and we got a great one this week. The Denver Broncos return to primetime, but against my Chargers. So I may have some special guests this Monday night, and we're gonna have some fun. It's gonna be a Chargers party on Monday Night Rants, and maybe a Padres party. We'll see.
Telling me there's a chance.
There's always a chance.
Hopefully, there's a Guardians party too.
Yes. Well, yeah, that'd be fun. I'm Stephen Kwan, my Dynasty team. Let's go, Kwan.
Go, Kwan.
Go, Kwan. But yeah, I'm at Edward Rouse on Twitter, and of course at the Bettor Network with you. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. And let's do this again in like a few weeks and have some fun, huh?
Sounds good to me, man. Maybe monthly. Maybe we should make it a monthly thing.
We should. Even in the offseason. Let's do NBA. Let's have some fun this year.
I'm down. Let's make it happen.
Do it. All right, brother. Well, enjoy the rest of your night. I'll be in the chat too. Help, kind of seeing what you have to say and have your
own take on it. Tell me why I'm an idiot for liking Michael Pittman Jr. so much.
No quarterbacks there. No quarterback longevity.
We'll see you, buddy.
Peace, man. Love you.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys. Ed, great. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate having you. We are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to wrap up the show.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt.
Body didn't change.
We'll never know that for sure either.
No, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
To get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The 1 year player, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it, and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. Like, he made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finished with. So, no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame, though, that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he could put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing, too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that, all those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look at 2001, where he's 31, he played on, look at the home runs decline, 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
We are back. Final 25 minutes of the show. We've been talking Dynasty. We've been talking Bears, Commanders. Assuming you watched the game, I apologize. It was a tough one. Tough one to watch. Another very low scoring affair. 12-7 victory for the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you guys about Jock Market. That's right. Jock Market offers live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, and all for real money. And each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Love that. At the end of the night, make it happen. Download now using promo code PLAYBOOK to receive 100% deposit match up to your first $100. Your first market will also be risk-free. I like that. I don't like a lot of risk. I told you guys before, I'm a square. I don't like a lot of risk. With losses refunded up to $100. That's right. Download the Jock Market app now and use promo code PLAYBOOK. All right. We've talked all kinds of things. We've talked tight ends. We've talked the Bears Commanders game. We've talked injuries. But somebody that's been missing for a while, but it hasn't been due to injury, is DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the league for a long time with the Houston Texans, came over to the Arizona Cardinals, and still to this day, one of the worst trades I've ever seen. But he comes to Arizona, keeps doing the same things he was doing with Deshaun Watson there with Kyler Murray, putting up big numbers, making big plays. Down numbers a little bit, but it was because he was banged up. Kyler Murray was banged up. Edward Rouse said Twitter post of the day today. I'm assuming he's talking about DeAndre Hopkins punching in the numbers of when he's going to be back, right? Fantastic post for sure. Fantastic receiver. He's going to be back. However, in his absence, the Cardinals traded for Marquise Hollywood Brown. Now, this is the former teammate and also now current teammate of Kyler Murray, played together at Oklahoma. People had been talking about they should have some good chemistry early. That absolutely seems to be true. Through the first 5 weeks, obviously not counting tonight, although no one in tonight's game would affect this. But through the first 5 weeks, he's wide receiver 5 on the season. He's getting the targets. He's getting the looks. He's been absolutely fantastic. And over the past 3 weeks, he's actually been the number 1 overall receiver, better than Justin Jefferson, better than Cooper Kupp, better than all of those guys. He's been the number 1 overall receiver the past 3 weeks. So the question here is, go ahead, feel free to put in the chat, how much does the effect of this dominant receiver that's been playing with Kyler Murray the past 2 years, how much does that affect the production of Marquise Hollywood Brown? I'll give you guys my opinion. I honestly think not that much. Yes, anytime that there's a new addition into an offense, there's going to be some targets that go his way. He's not going to get quite the 10, 11, 12 targets that he's been getting every single week. But I still think he's going to get 8 to 10. I don't think he's going to lose many. I think he's only going to see 2 or 3 targets to DeAndre Hopkins. I think it'll be other players. There'll be other players on the field that lose out targets. Specifically, maybe Zach Ertz would be the guy that I would be a little bit more concerned about. Maybe Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch, or whoever's in that role. But I think Hollywood and Nuke are going to both get their touches. And so I think that we might be seeing a situation where we could have, for the second half of the season, 2 players that maybe won't be quite wide receiver 1s, or, we're talking top 12. I don't think we're going to quite, but I think both of these players will be inside the top 18 for the second half of the season. I absolutely do. I think it's a high-flying offense where they want to get the ball down the field. They want it to get to playmakers. And who do you cover? That's a really difficult assignment. You have DeAndre Hopkins, who is your more traditional, big-bodied X-receiver. And then you have Hollywood Brown, who's been fantastic so far this season. Absolutely fantastic. Who do you guard? One's more of a speed player. One's more of the physical guy. It's tough. Tough one to decide. So I believe that both players are going to be valuable. If you can get either one of those players at a discount right now, because people are worried about the other one, I would be willing to buy both players in Dynasty and redraft, play them on DraftKings. I don't care. I would be willing to do it for both of those players because I think both are going to be successful in this offense. So going from an exciting situation to a situation that was exciting for the first 4 weeks of the season. But this week, we saw the Detroit Lions put up a 0. An absolute goose egg. Yes, it was against the Patriots. Yes, it was against Bill Belichick. But we were seeing this team put up 30 and 40 points. Jared Goff looked like the second coming of Geno Smith. Maybe too soon. But Jared Goff was playing incredibly well. Is this a blip on the radar? Or is this more the real Lions? And my guess is this is somewhere in between. I'm going to say somewhere in between. Here's why. I don't think anyone would have expected with Jared Goff at the helm, even though he's a very capable quarterback, that this could be the highest flying, most exciting offense in the league. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But there are some good weapons, some young weapons that are developing. But this past week, DeAndre Swift was out. Amon-Ra St. Brown was back, but he was banged up. Those two guys are key in getting this offense to hum. And then pretty soon, we're going to be inserting Jameson Williams into this offense. So I think we're going to see better days ahead. I think this, if I had to lean at either way, I think this was more just a blip on the radar than what we're going to see consistently. I think this is still going to be a very good offense. But the biggest reason of all is because of that offensive line. The Lions have one of the most stout offensive lines in all of football. They've done a good job really investing in it, finding players that fit their scheme, their style, the Dan Campbell, knee biting, angry, that kind of thing. That's what we're looking at. I like the Lions. I'm buying Amon. Well, actually, at this point, I'm not buying Amon-Ra. I was buying Amon-Ra. At this point, he's become too expensive. Price tag might have come down after missing a week, and then him, just putting up 4 catches for, I believe, 18 yards this past week. Price tag might have come down a little bit, but still, he's gotten very expensive. But I was buying Amon-Ra. I like this offense. I still like DeAndre Swift. And I'm curious about Jameson Williams. I would be interested in getting him on teams that I do not have him currently. Let's move over to Williams is going to be a star. He very well could be. Also from Ohio State. Yes, I know he went to Bama, but started at Ohio State. Matt Rule was fired this past week from the Carolina Panthers. He was the first head coach domino to fall. This one was tough. Not because of Matt Rule, but because of Baker Mayfield. I have a soft spot for Baker Mayfield. My Cleveland Football Browns took him number 1 overall a few years ago. And at the time, I didn't want him to take him. Honest truth, I wanted them to go with Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley, actually in reverse order, because I knew Barkley would be gone. I wanted them to take Saquon Barkley first, then Josh Allen. Would have been wonderful. Would have worked out great. Actually, my second favorite quarterback, if I'm being completely honest, was Josh Rosen. So, you win some, you lose some. I had Baker Mayfield as my third favorite quarterback of the group. Taking him 1 overall, I was not excited. But he won me over. He's a charismatic guy. He comes out his first start, big win in prime time against the Jets. First win in forever. We got to open the beer fridges and, it was all exciting, right? Everyone was pumped. Then we get to 2 years ago and we beat the Steelers. That's right. The Steelers, who we'd never beat them in the playoffs, which is something that we never do. We never even make the playoffs, let alone win a playoff game. That almost beat the Chiefs. I was all in on Baker. He had a rough year last year, kind of did him dirty. And I really thought that he was going to be better than this in Carolina. I didn't necessarily think he was going to be a top 5 quarterback or even a top 10 quarterback, but I thought he could be a serviceable Jared Goff level type of quarterback. He was not. He doesn't look good. That whole offense doesn't look good. And I know Matt Rule has not done him any favors, or did not do him any favors. He's gone. But I really thought things would be better than that. They were not. He's still going to get a shot, I think. He's going to be gone for a couple weeks. But this offense now is completely up in the air. PJ Walker now likely going to be the starter this coming week for the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if this is good or bad for DJ Moore. I'm going to probably say indifferent. Same thing with Robbie Anderson. Same thing with any other pass catchers. And I don't know that the Matt Rule firing really affects much of anything. I think Christian McCaffrey is still going to get his. As long as he is still targeted, which I believe he will be. It's going to be the Christian McCaffrey show. If you're desperate, you could start DJ Moore, but he's not somebody you're excited to start. He's probably going to be no better than a flex option at this point, which is a player that you drafted as your wide receiver 2 in redraft. And in Dynasty, you were hoping eventually would become your wide receiver 1. He's put up the yards, just can't seem to get in the end zone. But sad news, things in Carolina look bad. The firing of Matt Rule, I don't think changes a single thing. It's still going to continue to be rough. Because the opposite of the Lions, it's not a good line. Not a good line. There's no help there whatsoever. Run for the hills. Somebody that went off this week, completely went off. Put in the comments, where do you stand on this player? Gabe Davis. One of the most polarizing arguments all offseason was, what do we do with Gabe Davis? Is he a wide receiver 2 for fantasy football? Maybe, maybe not. Well, he had a good week 1, and then he was pretty bad after that. Then here in week 5, big game again. Big touchdown. I mentioned earlier in the show, I did not get to watch as many games this week because I was helping my in-laws move. But it was keeping track on my phone here and there, and I saw on the ESPN app that he had a 90-yard touchdown. I thought, well, that's got to be a glitch, because sometimes they'll do that. They'll say, he has negative 277 yards, and then it updates, and I thought it was a glitch. Nope, was not a glitch. Then it goes on and he does the same thing again. Another big touchdown. He's really tough to trust, though. Most teams are not going to be as pitiful as the Pittsburgh Steelers are. Pittsburgh Steelers, more or less, after a couple drives rolled over, game was over. Pretty tough to watch. And I'm personally struggling with what to do with Gabe Davis, because I don't like these roller coaster players. I don't really enjoy guys that will put up 30 one week, and then you get 4 from the next week. Then you get 8, then you get 3, and then you get 29, and then you get 10, then you get 4, then you get 33. It's just really, really tough. Edward's saying every 4 weeks he's going to put up points. That's the tough part with guys like that. He still has yet to get this huge target share, which is something that we know is indicative of consistency. We know that consistent target volume leads to good fantasy football success. If you're playing best ball, you're thrilled with Gabe Davis. Thrilled with Gabe Davis. But outside of that, it's really difficult to know when to start him. He's kind of like Deshaun Jackson was back in the day. You would have weeks where you would start him and he would win you your week. And then the next week, he's basically invisible, not doing anything to help your fantasy football team. Jeremy Maclin was getting all the points. Makes me feel old talking about Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin. I know it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it was that long ago. I mean, they were playing when I was in college. 10, 15 years ago. Man, getting old. But Gabe Davis, difficult one to really figure out exactly what to do with him. Another one that is a little bit difficult to know what to do, but is a little more acceptable because didn't cost you nearly as much to acquire this guy. Devin Duvernay. This is somebody that I'm really intrigued about because they're continuing to try to figure out ways to utilize him. He has 3 touchdowns on the year. He's been targeted more and more every week. And this past week, we even saw him in the backfield getting rushing attempts. Had over 30 yards rushing this past week on, I believe, 4 attempts. Devin Duvernay in dynasty leagues couldn't cost you more than a 3rd-round pick. I think he could be a future staple in this offense. I like Rashad Bateman, and I think he'll be a fine receiver as their main X receiver. And I like Mark Andrews, top tight end in dynasty formats right now, just because of Kelsey's age. But dynasty-wise, Mark Andrews far and ahead of everybody else. But after that, there's really not a lot else. Devin Duvernay loves to run those low A-dot routes, but can also blow up for the big play. And he's built. It's funny. When he was drafted, we talked about him reminding us of a Deebo Samuel type player, a guy that plays the wide receiver position, but has a little bit more of that stocky running back build to them. And he's not going to, he might be a little more inconsistent as well, but he's not going to cost you half of what it takes to get Gabe Davis. And if this offense is going to go to the next level, they need to be able to rely on more than just Lamar Jackson to Mark Andrews. Because every time we've seen them get in big games and in playoffs, they just haven't been able to get over that hump. Partly, I think that's due to just not having the plethora of playmakers. And so they need another guy. I think Devin Duvernay really is that guy. So he is somebody that I am actively going to buy in dynasty leagues. I don't think it'll cost you much more than a 3rd. I really don't. If he does, I would even be able to consider a late 2nd. Now, that means I am a legitimate contender, and I know that my pick is going to be 210, 211, 212, something like that. I think he's worth it. I think he's continued to get the target share. The offense likes him more and more. Something I'd be looking at. Something I would be looking at. All right, last one I want to talk about here as we wrap up the show. Mentioned him. When did I mention him? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? I don't remember exactly when. But Josh Jacobs. I think the opposite end of what we have here when I was talking about Devin Duvernay. I think Josh Jacobs is a fantastic sell high right now. Now, it sounds odd because he's playing so well. But that's the best time to sell. You don't want to sell when people are like, he's not playing very good. I'll give you a second. No, you want to sell guys when they're looking really good. And Josh Jacobs currently right now in standard formats is running back 5. Let's see, PPR wise, even better. Running back 4 in PPR right now, averaging 19.4 points per game. I don't know how sustainable that is. I don't know how sustainable that is. Long term, I don't know that they're going to continue using him as much in the passing game. And I don't even know that he is going to be a Las Vegas Raider. I think right now, There is so much desperation for good running backs. I mean, we're looking at guys like Jamal Williams, CEH, and Miles Sanders as running back ones right now. Like, there are teams that need a player like Josh Jacobs. If you can go out there and get a 2023 first and then a little more on top, I would be willing to go make that trade. Doesn't have to be a ton. First and a second. First and a Devin Duvernay. First and a Sky Moore. A rookie in this class that hasn't blossomed yet. Those are the kind of players I'm looking at. Because we know in this league, people are not wanting to pay for running backs. And if somebody's going to pay for running back, it's probably going to be Saquon Barkley, who's also a free agent this year. Could Josh Jacobs end up back in Vegas? It's possible. But they also just drafted Zamir White. 4th round pick, which isn't amazing draft capital. But the 4th round pick is slowly becoming the new 3rd round pick. We're seeing a lot of guys that are getting used a lot. Ramondre Stevenson, 4th round pick. Khalil Herbert, 4th round pick. This year, Dameon Pierce, 4th round pick. All of these guys are getting more and more involved. I think they like Zamir White, and I think long-term, they envision him and probably somebody else, some sort of pass catcher, somebody in the James White type of role. I think I think that's their plan long-term. That's who I would be looking for. That's who I would be looking to go get. So I would look to sell Josh Jacobs. I'd be looking to maybe acquire Zamir White. See the price. I'm not wanting to overpay for him, but I do like him as a player. I do like his style. I do like his ability. I think he could be somebody that you can get relatively inexpensively. So sell Josh Jacobs and buy Devin Duvernay. Those are my buy. That's my sell of the week. Well, guys, it is time to wrap up our Thursday night show together. I appreciate everyone tuning in, watching. Thank you so much, Edward, for hopping on the show. Thank you, Doc, for trying. I know it was frustrating to get you on some other time. Thanks to Gator for hopping in, talking to me a little bit. Always good to talk to you. Nicest guy, one of the nicest guys in the industry. One of my personal favorite human beings around this joint. I am Garrett Price. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Price. You can find me over on the Dynasty Nerds podcast that drops every single Tuesday evening when we record. So usually drops right around Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.